everybody, and welcome back to Chitalayam. The question we're going to be answering today is how big of a role does media play in eco-anxiety?
They play a pretty big role because, first of all, their wordings are very important. They can say something is catastrophic or they can say something existential crisis. And people take on those words. And I mean, to the media people, they might just be saying, hey, like, I just want you to understand this is a really big problem. Whereas the words that they use, people are going to take it on. And it could really fuel the eco anxiety. And I understand what they're doing as well, because eco anxiety is like a huge issue, and it comes from a lot of inaction from people who are in control, and also the lack of information about the amount of things that are happening, where the good things that are happening, where actions are being taken, but then like those information almost never come to the front. Most of the time, you just hear about you have X number of years to do something. If not, you're a goner, and those sort of things. It's great for a headline, but the thing is, not a lot of people, unfortunately, actually click the headline, read the news, and understand. And there's a lot of times where they would just actually in the article they would answer, "Yeah, this might be what you think, but," and then they would give a different answer. But just to create the headline, they would put it in block letters with like something ambiguous that you can understand it in the worst way possible, and that really is like the worst when somebody has anxiety, and it really makes them cynical, and it makes them think there is like no hope, and by putting themselves in a situation, they they also create like a self-loathing thing, because the people who are in control, like you, if you are living as long as you are living, like you played some part in it. And when I say you played some part in it, I don't mean you actually played a part in it, but in your mind, you're thinking you played some part in it, and that is the issue with how media can really affect eco anxiety.
You bring up a lot of good points about the way that media can affect us. And, a common experience that a lot of people might have had over the past year is not wanting to look at the news because of COVID news. Imagine hearing, what was your experience listening to all the bad death tolls, the news on vaccines, and just the hospitals being overrun, nurses and doctors and all kinds of emergency responders being overwhelmed, burnt out. Like that news was not great to look at, and it makes you feel bad, drained, and just worn out. Imagine that's the same impact on eco-anxiety with hearing bad news about the climate all the time. Coral reefs are shrinking, water levels are rising. And when you hear all of these news without any solutions really, because they're just reporting news, they're not reporting the solutions, it can make your sense of hopelessness and helplessness much worse because you're just hearing these negative news about the climate, and it can make people, go in two different ways. Some people might ignore it altogether, but we're talking about the people who then get eco anxiety because they're aware of this, they're conscious of this, and it makes it much worse. And especially if you're just doom scrolling on social media platforms and you're just seeing news after news and you're unable to really do anything other than sit there and get that information because you're not putting out any effort or action, or not saying that it's your responsibility to save the world, but if you're unable to do anything about it, then media just puts a lot of weight of information on you that's not great, and then it can lead to eco anxiety and a sense of hopelessness.
You actually bring a very good point where something has to be done. You have to do something, and they don't say, "Okay, so what should I do?" Like they don't really bring that up, and that's not great. And honestly, like at that point, it would be like, do I have eco anxiety, or do I just have like climatic depression, where it's depression that's coming from like seeing all these news and just like being mentally saturated, where like when something really big does happen, where a good thing or a bad thing that happens, you're not able to react to it because you're just like burnt out with the amount of news you've looked at. And yeah, it's not the best place to be there. Like I mean, you need to do something about it. You have to deal with the eco anxiety.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we talk about these solutions so we're not like the media outlets that just bring doom and gloom and no blooms.
That is true. Okay, let's actually give them some solutions.
All right. Come check out our next video tomorrow. See you then.
Oh, you're still here? Well, thanks for getting to the end of the video. Hey, while you're still here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get new updates when we post videos. Also, make sure to check out these equally exciting videos as well. Have you pressed it yet? Come on, you have 5 seconds left. 3, 2, press it now.